Okay, so I'm here today to talk about another versus battle video that I've covered in the past and seeing if I was not particularly fair to one side or the other, or both. If you're new to the channel, this is going to be a part of my Was I Wrong videos. There's a playlist for this series in my playlist section on my channel page, so if you want, you can go and check that out if you like. But a few weeks ago, I did Kakashi and Guy versus the Five Kage, and while I still stand by pretty much everything I said in that video, with the exception of a couple things, I did have some viewers who were a bit vocal about me possibly downplaying or lowballing the Five Kage. Now, the funny thing about this video in particular is that both sides actually tend to have something in common, which is both the Five Kage and EMS Sasuke kinda have a bit of a reputation of being downplayed, or at least that's the general consensus from the commentators from what I've seen. So obviously this is going to be the Five Kage that took on Madara, like Tsunade, Ōnoki, Mei, and Gaara, versus EMS Sasuke from the War Arc. Now, I don't think I need to do too much explaining when it comes to the abilities and scaling for the Kage. I think we all know what they can do and how strong they are individually. And I will scale them as we go along in the video. And as a group, they are a definite force to be reckoned with. Even though he was playing around more or less, the Kage did do a pretty decent job against Madara, all things considered. And ones like Tsunade and Ōnoki managed to surprise them on a couple occasions. The real quote-unquote mystery here in terms of scaling is for EMS Sasuke. I mean, funny, I say mystery, but I think it's more accurate to say controversy, because the community is up and down when it comes to how strong EMS Sasuke is at different sections of the War Arc. Now, I understand the controversy when it comes to Sasuke when he first acquired his EMS and fought alongside Itachi against Kabuto. But what I will say is I think Sasuke gets a bit too much crap here, at least when it comes to how people gauge his strength and skill. I mean, for one thing, Sasuke again just awakened his EMS and hadn't even fought anybody outside of the Zetsu clones when he escaped from Toei's hideout. So obviously this is Sasuke with his training wheels on, so to speak. Another thing that helps in Sasuke's case here is that I believe he was trying to follow Itachi's lead for most of the fight, at the request of Itachi himself. At least that's the way it looked to me, as Itachi said at the beginning of the fight that he had a plan to specifically deal with Kabuto without killing him. So this might be why Itachi was the one more or less carrying the fight, and why we don't really see too much of what Sasuke was capable of. And then the last thing I'll say, and this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with his strength and skill per se, but rather more of his performance, and that is that he was seriously underestimating Kabuto, like a lot. Kabuto even says this a couple times during the fight, that Sasuke isn't taking him as seriously as he should. So I think the combination of him sleeping on Kabuto plus his newly acquired EMS may have let the power go to his head a little. Mind you, I don't 100% think he was high on himself, but I think it's safe to say this affected his performance. But that could just be my interpretation. I think it's easier to make this comparison when you take a look at how Itachi was acting in the fight. Like, Itachi wasn't underestimating Kabuto at all, especially when he learned that Kabuto had mastered Sage Mode. Now, having said that, Sasuke does do a decent job in the fight considering Itachi was the leader. One such feat is him being able to cast Amaterasu around him and Itachi before Kabuto could reach and blitz them. Also being able to cast Amaterasu again on Kidomaru's spiderwebs and doing so at the same time as Edo Itachi, and being able to break out of Taiyuya's flute genjutsu using his own MS genjutsu that was on par with Tsukuyomi. And then lastly, being able to catch Kabuto with his Susanoo hands at least a couple times. So I think it's safe to say that Sasuke is equal to Edo Itachi here, who was able to swap hands with both KCM Naruto and Killer Bee at the same time. So Kabuto fight EMS Sasuke is anywhere from Edo Itachi to KCM2 Naruto level already. Now, by the time of the Jubito fight is where EMS Sasuke completely puts in work. Now, some might say that despite the fact that Sasuke does a lot more of this fight than he did against Kabuto, Naruto's feats tend to kind of overshadow Sasuke's against Jubito. And they're not wrong per se, but even still, given the scale of Naruto's strength and attacks, Sasuke still seemed to fight pretty relative to him pretty much all the way up until they got their respective 6-pass power-up. Sasuke could rapidly kill multiple opponents by firing off multiple Amaterasu shots like he did against Zetsu. Likewise, using Blaze Release, EMS Sasuke could shoot Amaterasu arrows that were equal to Naruto's massive Rasen Shuriken. He was also able to match the power of Naruto's Tail Beast Bomb with a normal Susanoo arrow, and he was able to react to an unstable Jubito's attack and withstand the True Secret Orb to protect Naruto. Not to mention, he was able to attack at the same time as KCM Naruto in order to protect Sakura from one of the Jubi minions, and was seen being able to get to Sakura before Naruto could. So just pointing that out. And at the end of the Jubito fight, Sasuke was shown increasing his visual perception as he states that he was getting better and better at perceiving Jubito's movement. And all this is without factoring in the comments Sasuke gets from people like Minato and Madara on how sharp and analytical Sasuke's intelligence is, as well as comments from Tobirama and Orochimaru stating his potential to surpass Madara. So on the surface, EMS Sasuke, when fighting alongside KCM and KCM2 Naruto, might not seem impressive given Naruto's feats and even comments from Sasuke himself saying things like, "This is Naruto with perfect control over this much chakra," or "Naruto, how far will you go?" But if anything, I think this could help speak to Sasuke's strength and skill, as even given his opinions on how strong and impressive he thinks Naruto is now, that Sasuke was still able to fight on par with him. So when breaking it all down, Sasuke's battle prowess is kinda cracked. I think Naruto fully surpasses Sasuke when he gains the ability to stack Sage Mode on top of casing him too, as Sasuke also needed Jugo to use his Senjutsu to power up his Susanoo in order to fight Juito with Naruto. Now, the Kage are no joke either. Again, ones like Ōnoki surprised Madara with his wisdom in battle, and Tsunade surprised him with their physical strength and 100 healing jutsu. But them being able to survive the Susanoo wood clones, I mean, granted, it was mostly Ōnoki who did that, but still, ones like Tsunade and A actually was able to fight fully with the Susanoos with just their hand. Ones like Gaara was being able to react to the Susanoo's attacks a few times, and the durability of each Kage is ranging anywhere from Ōnoki being able to survive 2 meteors dropped on him by Madara, to Mei being able to take a full-on punch from one of the Susanoo. So the Kage are definitely busted in their own right. So first, let's see what the Kage could do against Sasuke. Well, for starters, they obviously have the numbers advantage, and on top of that, they also have a rough estimate amount of intel on Sasuke's ability. Granted, with the EMS amp, there will be some things that they aren't aware of, like for example, the ability to manifest a stronger and more mobile Susanoo, but certain things like Amaterasu, Lightning Style, the Susanoo on its own, and obviously Sharingan Genjutsu, they'll be aware of that. The first and likely most problematic thing that the Kage gives Sasuke here is Ōnoki's particle style, which, mind you, Sasuke was only able to survive last time due to Obito's interference in the Kage summon. And I think it's safe to say that if Sasuke gets caught up in it, he's done for. Whether it's a beam or a particle style cube, he's done for. But an advantage that Sasuke has here for a possible counter is his Hawk summon. Granted, Ōnoki can fly too, so it might not make much of a difference, but given the hacks of particle style, having that Hawk is definitely better than not having it, especially when trying to avoid it. Gaara has the potential of being able to catch Sasuke in the sand pyramid if Sasuke goes into his Susanoo. And I mean, yeah, with Sasuke not being an Edo, this might not matter, but it could at least be useful in helping Ōnoki land a particle style attack on Sasuke. If Sasuke uses the half-body Susanoo similar to the one he used against Danzo, Gaara can also use the sand at Sasuke's feet to straight up yeet him out, assuming that they're in a similar environment where they fought Madara. When it comes to Sasuke himself, Gaara might be able to catch Sasuke in a sand coffin or something and potentially crush him, given the speed of Gaara's sand being relative to the Raikage. Even more so if his sand is being made lighter by Ōnoki. But with the reaction time of Sasuke and his own lightning style, it's possible he might be able to avoid Gaara's sand attacks altogether. Now, Mei honestly might be more useful here than she already was against Madara, because for one, she can use the hidden mist jutsu to help hinder the vision of the Sharingan. And granted, this might be redundant if there's no friendly fire to the hidden mist, because then that would also hinder the vision of the Kage as well. But let's say for a second that it did have friendly fire, Ōnoki and the Raikage might be able to do the same thing they did to Kabuto controlling Mu and hit him while A is being amped by Ōnoki. But if Kabuto could still see them, I mean, Sasuke with his EMS should too, and having better reaction time than Mu, I'd say there's good call to say that Sasuke might be able to counterattack with Amaterasu or summon a Susanoo to defend, or both, using Susanoo and coat it with Amaterasu, thereby getting rid of one, possibly even 2 Kage right there. Maybe you could make a case that with the hidden mist, if Ōnoki can see well enough, it could give him a chance to land particle style on Sasuke, but that just depends on how well you think he could see, and if you believe that there is a possible friendly fire to it. Which, I mean, hey, there might be, as Ōnoki and A were able to spot Mu in the mist in order to blitz it. So, I mean, honestly, who knows? There's also Mei's Vapor Style, which we saw was capable of melting the Susanoo. But this time around, Sasuke has a couple of counters. One, he could just go into his Susanoo to the point where it has legs and he could just move out of the vapor mist. Or 2, he can summon his Hawk to fly out of it. Plus, there's also the risk of the other Kage being caught in it if she releases it within the range of them, which obviously she wouldn't deliberately do, but if she tried to use it enough to kill Sasuke or weaken his half-body Susanoo, then she'd have to release a good bit of it. Maybe you'd say that she released just enough of it to help weaken the durability of the Susanoo for an Ōnoki amped A or Tsunade to come and try to break it. At the very least, Mei will be able to do a decent job countering Sasuke's regular fire style with her water style, and she did do a decent job against Madara a couple times. Now, funny enough, A might be the Kage that Sasuke would be the least concerned about, at least as far as utility and them all working as a 5-person team. Outside of his teamwork with Ōnoki, A isn't that versatile. All Sasuke would have to worry about is A's speed, which Sasuke has demonstrated he's able to avoid a blitz attack from A at point blank with just his base Sharingan. And yeah, A might not have been at his top speed at that moment, but even if he's at his top speed here, Sasuke's visual perception with his EMS should be way better than what it was during the Kage Summit, especially by the time of the Jubito fight. Now, with Ōnoki amping his speed, you could make an argument for the right Kage speed being at best at a baby KCM2 Naruto, and at worst, a fully mastered KCM1 Naruto. So Sasuke might have to be a little bit cautious here when it comes to that, but with his visual perception, reaction time, Amaterasu, coded Susanoo, I just feel like Sasuke should be fine. Now, A and Mei's teamwork could do some damage with their lightning-infused water dragon, but then if that does happen, Sasuke should be able to shoot a Susanoo arrow to cancel it out. Worst case, an Amaterasu coded Susanoo arrow, so I think he'll be fine with that too. Then that leaves Tsunade, who might be the biggest threat next to Ōnoki, because 1 to 3 punches from her is likely going to be enough to kill Sasuke, assuming she's able to hit him when he's not in his Susanoo. Now, Sasuke might be able to defend against Tsunade with him coding his Susanoo and Amaterasu like he did against A, and while A didn't seem to care that he was going to lose an arm, the problem here is that if Tsunade does the same thing while she's in her 100 healings, she's not going to lose an arm. Because it's stated by Tsunade herself during her fight with Orochimaru that the 100 healings is capable of regrowing organs and limbs. So if Sasuke, like Madara, isn't aware of this and chooses to stay and play chicken with Tsunade, she might just be breaking through the Susanoo no problem and still potentially killing Sasuke. But granted, that is if he chooses to be in his ribcage Susanoo. If he's in his half-body armored Susanoo, he could just shoot his Susanoo arrow at her to counter. But even then, if she's got mitotic regeneration active, the arrow isn't doing anything either. I mean, unless it completely bisects her somehow, which, I mean, hey, it could be possible. And with Sasuke's Hawk, he could still do a decent job avoiding Tsunade's attacks altogether while also still being able to attack from a distance if he wanted to with Amaterasu or Fire Style. Then all she would have left is Katsuyu, and honestly, I do think I may have been sleeping on Katsuyu in my last Kage vs. Battle video, and she's definitely pretty useful here, especially with her acid against the Susanoo. And if she gets hit with Amaterasu or something, she could just split herself into 1,000 pieces and then just regrow herself again. And at that point, Sasuke would actually have to summon Iota in order to help combat and distract Katsuyu. And since Sasuke won't necessarily be able to apply the same kind of pressure on the Kage that Madara was able to, Tsunade and maybe even some mini Katsuyu clones might have much more availability to heal the other Kage throughout the fight. I think the best thing that Sasuke could do here is try to completely bisect Tsunade with his lightning sword, the same way he was able to do against Madara. Now, granted, that was, a Rinnegan Sasuke feat, but it was also against Juidara, so I think the difference in power makes up for it here. Now let's discuss what Sasuke can do against the Kage. So for one thing, despite the fact that Sasuke will be outnumbered here, the benefit he has this time around is that, like the Kage, he'll also be going into this fight with a decent amount of intel on his side. For starters, he'll already know what Gaara can do. He's seen just about all the right Kage is capable of. He's seen both Mei's Vapor Style and Lava Style, and she straight up told him all her chakra natures. He won't have all the intel on Tsunade, but I mean, she's pretty renowned for her medical ninjutsu, so I think he'll know that. And I'm sure it won't take long for him to realize how strong she is either. So the only things that he won't 100% know about is 100 healings and Katsuyu. And then that just leaves Ōnoki, and Sasuke already saw his strongest jutsu, so he'll definitely be aware of particle style. But other than that, he won't have too much more intel on Ōnoki, like him being able to use the lightning boulder jutsu, heavy boulder jutsu, and stone golems, etc, etc. And even though both sides having intel beforehand will help, I'd argue it's more useful for Sasuke here due to him being tactically smarter than all the Kage, except for maybe Ōnoki. Like, Ōnoki was putting in some work strategically in the fight against Madara, to which even Madara himself recognized that was the real problem. Now, that's not to say the other Kage are stupid by any means, but compared to Ōnoki and arguably Tsunade too, who both have more wisdom through experience, none of them are as gifted at being a tactician in battle as Sasuke is, with his feats against Deidara and Danzo respectively, and as I mentioned earlier, comments from people like Minato and Madara cement Sasuke as being one of the smartest characters in the series. Sasuke is very similar to Kakashi in that it's in his nature to break things down, analyze them, and make plans accordingly, like on the freaking fly, even when under extreme circumstance. Now, one of the first things Sasuke could do here is, if he wanted to at the start of the fight, use Kagutsuchi or Inferno style slash Amaterasu like he did against Zetsu and possibly get rid of multiple Kage at once. Now, given that this is the 5 Kage and not just some random Zetsu clones, I think it might be lowballing the Kage to say that they all could just get taken out right then and there. Ones like Gaara and A were already shown capable of reacting to Sasuke's Amaterasu and Inferno style in the Kage Summon arc. However, that was also a weaker version of Sasuke, so it's also just as likely that the speed of his Inferno style is going to be greater than the Kage's reaction time here. If that's the case, then it's almost a guarantee ones like Ōnoki and Mei might get taken off the field early on. And if that is the case, I don't know, man, it's definitely going to be more in Sasuke's favor. Having to only deal with 3 Kage at the start of the fight without having to expend too much chakra is going to make the rest of the fight a lot easier than having to deal with 2 more, especially in terms of not having to worry about Ōnoki's particle style. And I'm not going to lie, getting Mei off the field will be just as important, as then she won't be able to use her vapor style to help weaken Susanoo. Now, if we back up for a second and say that's giving Sasuke too much credit, and even say that Kage like A and Gaara's Sand will have their speed amped by Ōnoki at the beginning of the fight, that A may have enough time to get Mei out of the line of fire, and or Gaara's Sand might move fast enough to protect them both. Or even in Ōnoki's case, he might be able to put up Earth style jutsu to help defend himself or use particle style quick enough to get rid of the flames. Though I'd argue that the casting time for Amaterasu or Inferno style would be quicker than Ōnoki can launch the particle style or any other Earth style jutsu. For Tsunade, it won't really matter, since if she's in 100 healing, she could just chop her arm off of something and regrow it, assuming that she's quick enough to block the Amaterasu with her arm, of course. Now, before I move on, I will say this about this particular scenario, that if this is beginning EMS Kabuto fight Sasuke, then I can see the Kage being able to survive this. But if this is Juito fight EMS Sasuke, where he's gotten more acclimated to using his new Sharingan, then I see it more in Sasuke's side being able to at least get Mei and possibly even Ōnoki off the field, if not both A and Gaara as well. Now, let's say for a second that the scenario doesn't go in Sasuke's favor. How does the rest of the fight go? As crazy as this is going to sound, I don't think Genjutsu will play much of a factor in this fight. At least not until it gets down to the last 2 Kage or something. Because for one thing, the Kage are already going to be expecting Sharingan Genjutsu from Sasuke going in, and ones like Ōnoki even made it a point to mention to the 4th division not to look Madara in the eye. Speaking of Madara, throughout the entire fight against the Kage, he was only able to get one of the Kage with Genjutsu. I mean, granted, he was able to do it against the fastest one, but still, he was only able to do so against the Raikage because the Raikage was A, not paying attention for a second due to Tsunade collapsing, and B, was fighting against 5 Susanoo wood clones at the same time. So I don't know if I can see Sasuke being able to put the same amount of pressure on each Kage at the same time in order to put any of them in a Genjutsu. And let's say for a second that he is capable of doing that, it's very possible that without the added pressure of multiple wood clone Susanoos, that any of the other Kage can save the one that's caught in a Genjutsu quick enough. For example, Ōnoki was quick enough to save the Raikage from getting attacked by multiple Susanoo after he was caught by Madara's Genjutsu. Now, to be fair, given the speed of Sasuke's Susanoo arrow and or Amaterasu Inferno styles, if Sasuke follows up quickly enough, he might be able to kill whichever Kage is caught in a Genjutsu. But if not, then the Genjutsu will only be really useful if and when he gets it down to either 1 or 2 Kage, as there won't be as many to help break each other out. So for right now, let's talk about a fight on the ground with no Susanoo. I mean, you know, setting aside the ribcage, he can use the ribcage in it. If Genjutsu might not work, and if we say Amaterasu / Inferno style might not land, then what can he do? Well, even if Sasuke uses the Amaterasu coated ribcage, ones like Tsunade and the Raikage don't have to go and try to still blitz him. Ones like Gaara, Ōnoki, and Mei can still attack from a range. And even still, if Tsunade is in her 100 healings, she can still attack the coated ribcage anyway. So the only other defense Sasuke would have outside of his Sharingan perception and reaction time would be his lightning style in the form of Chidori Stream. But I'm pretty sure ones like Tsunade and A can just power through that. And again, ones like Mei, Gaara, and Ōnoki don't have to get in close. They can still attack from a distance. So if that's the case, then without the Susanoo, I think Sasuke's best chance is actually Kirin. Now, y'all know I'm a Kirin hype beast. Like, y'all know I love me some Kirin. I think it gets super overlooked, and to be fair, with the extent of Sasuke's MS Jutsu catalog, I can definitely understand why, but Kirin can be super helpful here. Now, it may or may not depend on how you take Kirin, because there are some who believe he would need to go through the process of setting up Kirin with Amaterasu or something, which with EMS he could do freely now without too much concern, at least not when it comes to burning out his eyes. But there is an argument of would Sasuke be able to set up Kirin with all 5 Kage rushing him at once. which is actually a pretty strong argument. But then that brings me to the moment in the Tenchi Bridge arc when it was implied that Sasuke was about to drop Kirin and all he needed was a couple hand signs and his own chakra. Now, there are some who have said that it was just a bluff and that Sasuke does in fact need a thunderstorm in order to drop it, but I don't know. I don't think Orochimaru would have gone through the trouble of stopping Sasuke from launching the jutsu if he really felt that he needed a thunderstorm to use it, since there wasn't even remotely a thundercloud in the sky. So if we balance it out and say that maybe the force or the power behind Kirin wouldn't be as much as it would be if it was from a storm, it might not matter depending on how much chakra Sasuke puts into it. And as long as it still moves at the same speed or even near it, that's all that really matters. Ones like A and maybe Tsunade will be able to survive it, though if Tsunade isn't in her Byakugo, I could see her getting one shot, but the rest might be done for. The best case I could argue is that for Gaara and Ōnoki, if they can make a stone golem with an extra wall of sand as a defense quick enough, they might be able to defend against it. But even then, if they do survive it, it's possible that the aftershock from Kirin will still damage them considerably, at least to the point where if Sasuke acts quick enough, he could launch an Amaterasu or a Susanoo arrow. And speaking of the Susanoo, we can go into a fight with Sasuke using the higher forms of the Susanoo. And what I want to start with is the possibility of Sasuke being able to launch Kirin within his Susanoo. I mean, if we take the anime-only scene from Naruto and Sasuke's final fight, we do see it's possible. Granted, it was from a much more powerful Sasuke, but still, there isn't anything to say that he can't. And if we take that scene into account, then we have more evidence saying that he can rather than he can't. So if that is possible, then launching Kirin will be a lot easier, especially if he uses the Susanoo with the leg. Outside of that, if the Five Kage were to go up against Sasuke in his full body Susanoo, as in the one he used to fight Jubito alongside Naruto, then the Kage might have a decent chance. If we set aside the possibility of him being able to launch Kirin from the Susanoo, the main problem would be the Susanoo arrows, which are definitely a problem, given how fast and powerful they are. But my biggest hesitation on saying Sasuke stomps them in his Susanoo is how well the Kage did against the wood clone Susanoos from Madara. Like, I know that the Susanoo Sasuke used to fight Jubito is bigger than the ones that the Madara clones use, but to be honest, in my opinion, they aren't that much different in size. And Kage like Tsunade was straight up pummeling them into the ground. A was stopping one of their punches with just his arm. Gaara was blocking their attacks. Mei was tanking their punches and still getting up to fight. And Ōnoki was getting the Raikage out of their line of fire to save him from the Genjutsu. So, I don't know, y'all. Particle Style and the Stone Golem, A and Gaara's Sand Speed being amped by Ōnoki, Vapor Style, Katsuyu's Acid, Tsunade and A's Strength, plus Tsunade having more opportunities to heal the Kage during the fight, they might just have what it takes to bring Sasuke down even in his Susanoo. But then we consider how fast his Susanoo is on its own, which was able to move on par with Naruto, his visual perception being able to track Obito's movements, Susanoo arrows which are faster than Sasuke himself, on top of the possibility he could launch Kirin from his Susanoo, plus Iota if he felt like he needed them, and on top of all of that, having a decent amount of intel on the Kage going in with his sharp intellect. It's a really tough call to make. Like I said earlier, this is all without factoring if the Inferno style shots wouldn't land and if Sasuke uses Kirin that the Kage would survive. This fight is more or less situational and really it just depends on how each side starts a fight. Because again, if Sasuke is able to get two of the Kage off the field right away with his Inferno style, then I think he'll ultimately win. But if we give the Kage the benefit of the doubt, on top of saying that A and Gaara's Sand will be amped at the start, then Sasuke will have to adapt accordingly and it'll be a much tougher fight. Now I'm going to mention something that I haven't gotten to yet after I give my opinion on the win rate for this fight, so just wait for it. But if this is Kabuto fight Sasuke, as in baby EMS Sasuke, I think the Kage take it like 7 out of 10 times. If this is beginning to mid Jubi and Jubito fight EMS Sasuke, then I think it's 50-50 and could go either way. And if this is Jubito fight EMS Sasuke, like late Jubito fight EMS Sasuke, then I think Sasuke wins 7 out of 10 times. Now, the thing I'm going to get to now, and I'm pretty sure most of y'all are ready for me to get to this, is the idea that Sasuke has the perfect Susanoo. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is a debate that's been argued amongst the community for a long time. But I will say that if you are under the impression that Sasuke does have the perfect Susanoo, then he obviously clears. Like, it's not even a question. Madara cleared it pretty much with one swing. And that was that. Like, even when the Kage still thought they could fight him with the perfect Susanoo, it doesn't matter. They got whooped, right? But if you're on the side that he doesn't have the perfect Susanoo, then it's pretty much the same as what I said earlier. Now, again, there's a bunch of arguments on whether he has it or not. Like, for example, he was able to coat the entire 9 tails in his Susanoo, so it's the same as when Madara did it. Also, speaking of Madara, Madara was able to activate the perfect Susanoo when he got EMS in the Warring States period. So there are arguments for it, but the arguments on the other side is saying that if Sasuke could use a perfect Susanoo, that he would have used it against Chibito because that would have been the perfect time to use it. So again, I can see arguments going back and forth. So if you are of the opinion that he does have the perfect Susanoo, then he obviously clears with no trouble. But if he doesn't, then it's like I said earlier. So there's the video. Hope y'all did enjoy. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if I missed anything. I want to do this fight again because the first time I did it, it was with another YouTube content creator. So I wanted to just give my own opinions on it by myself and to see what I thought. But there y'all have it. Hope y'all did enjoy. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for more notifications. Stay tuned for more Naruto videos. And until my next video, Fight the Snow, out.